to make the judgment of who was going to be on the donkey of the day. They chose you.
Yes. The Breakfast Club, bitches.
Who's donkey of the day today?
Donkey of the day for Wednesday, April 22nd goes to Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. Oh, the mayonnaise is heavy on this one. America, can I tell y'all something? I need everybody to listen to me, everyone, okay? The diverse coalition of listeners that we have on Breakfast Club, all black people, brown people, all genders, all sexualities, all races, white, yellow, Puerto Rican, Haitian, gather around. Okay, I need everyone who can hear me to listen and listen good. There's no easy way to say this. A lot of old white men in America are the devil. I didn't say all, I said a lot. And a large swath of them are in the South and a large swath of them are in politics. No one can convince me otherwise, okay? It is just too much historical evidence, past and present, that prove my point, okay? Old white men have been the single greatest threat to this country for a long time, okay? All of that freedom, liberty, justice for all, they only mean that for themselves. And the rest of us are just crash test dummies, lab rats, guinea pigs on these old men's quest for power, okay? You know how they say crisis doesn't create character, it reveals it? Well, think of all the old white men you see right now revealing to the world who they really are. From the President Donald J. Trump to Atlanta Governor Brian Kemp to now Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. Dan Patrick is a man who is calling for the reopening of the state of Texas, okay? In fact, he says it never should have been shut down to begin with. He's also the same guy who back on March 23rd of this year said this.
No one reached out to me and said, as a senior citizen, are you willing to take a chance on your survival in exchange for keeping the America that all America loves for your children and grandchildren? And if that's the exchange, I'm all in. And that doesn't make me noble or brave or anything like that. I just think there are lots of grandparents out there in this country, like me, I have 6 grandchildren, that what we all care about and what we love more than anything are those children. And I want to live smart and see through this, but I don't want the whole country to be sacrificed.
Yeah, lots of grandparents across the country would risk their survival to keep the country afloat economically. He's probably right. There will be a lot of people who died during this process, and I'm sure it is absolutely some older folks who understand that and who are like, look, I've been here long enough anyway, so it's time for me to clock out. And they probably would die for the country. But when I hear people like Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick say things like that, I'm like, cool. Sacrifice your grandparents first, then. Sacrifice your wife's grandparents. Are you a granddaddy, like you just said, and you willing to die for this country, fool? Go, okay? You and your wife clock out. Don't go volunteering our grandparents and other grandparents for slaughter. Give up yours. Give up yourself. You a leader, right? Well, lead by example. But that's not what even Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick is getting donkey of the day for. Okay, he's getting donkey today for what he said on Tucker Carlson last night. Okay, he was on Tucker Carlson tonight calling for the reopening of Texas, as well as all of America. And his reason, of course, was the economy. But Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said, and I quote, "There are more important things than living." I can't make this kind of stuff up. Play the clip.
We're crushing the average worker. We're crushing small business. We're crushing the markets. We're crushing this country. And what I said when I was with you that night, there are more important things than living. And that's saving this country for my children and my grandchildren and saving this country for all of us. And I don't want to die. Nobody wants to die. But, man, we got to take some risk and get back in the game and get this country back up and running.
White people, old white men, the devil, Satan, Lucifer, old white man from the South in politics. Is my point proven yet? Everything about this statement is evil and it's BS. There are more important things than living. Name them. No, Dan. I'm not going to let you walk out of here without naming what's more important than living.
That was a piece from, first, that was the Breakfast Club, which is a radio station out in New York City. And then before that, you heard from the Young Turks. And Larry's on the line with some thoughts. Hey there, how are you? What do you think? I mean, in all seriousness, that was a funny piece, but in all seriousness, it's a hard choice. I mean, if you're a factory worker and you can't do, social distancing and, it's about you, your family, it's dangerous.
Yeah,
it's a tough
it
choice.
is. And, it's a good point that you shut down the economy for a prolonged period of time. Look at the damage that'll do in terms of suicides, in terms of people not getting health care. I mean, the damage from that physically and mentally could be a lot worse than the coronavirus. So, yeah, it is, there's arguments on both sides. And it's still not, and the jury is still out on how effective the shutdown is in preventing the spread, whether it was really necessary. But be that as it may, this last guy you had on, Ken, what a racist, vicious diatribe. Old white men are responsible, and from the South. First of all, they're not all from the South. They're from the West and the northern regions. They're not all men either. South Dakota's governor, a woman, doesn't want the shutdown, and to equate this with white DNA, practically that white people are evil. I mean, that does a disservice to the whole thing. To look at this just in terms of race. If you want to make the case that old white men are more attached to the bottom line and to business and all that, yeah, I'll grant that because they've been at it longer. But now that blacks are coming onto their own and getting positions of power and influence, especially in politics, they're just as corrupt. From Marion Barry, there's a whole list of former mayors and council people and Congress people. For instance, former Democratic Kwame Kilpatrick, Councilman Michael Brown, former D.C. councilman, on and on and on. So, to divide this along racial lines is really a disservice.
Not all white guys. You don't think
it's not all? Yeah, a lot of them are, but again, they're not all white. They're white, but not all of them are men, and not all of them are from the South.
Well, he did qualify it by saying, some old white men.
Well, but seriously, he kept going on and on and on about how this is evil old white men. Come on. Does this contribute to race relations? I mean, it's stuff like this. No, but I think Trump he's talking about reality. I mean, I think to an extent he has a point. I mean, there is, if you were to do a survey or whatever you want to do, I mean, it is these old white guys in the Senate and Trump and all these guys. Again, it's because they've been at it longer. But he seems to attribute greed and corruption just to old white guys. As I said, there's a whole list of black politicians that have been indicted for going after greed and money and all that. I mean, the list is numerous. And what I'm saying is, once blacks or any other minorities finally get into a position of power, they have an equal chance at corruption. So, again, to divide this along racial lines is a very bad thing to do. I mean, as I said, the Southerns, first of all, too, you got to take into account other factors such as the rural makeup of a lot of these southern states and the agricultural needs and all that, where a shutdown is really vital to their economy. And since a lot of them are rural areas, they social distance naturally. Plus the old southern thing about states' rights. I'll grant that.
Sure.
But I mean, this guy just made it very simplistic. And again, we're going to dwell on race in a situation like that. That's ridiculous.
All right, I hear you. Talk to you. Have a good weekend. Talk to you next week.
All right, Ken.
Okay, see you. Bye.